If you haven't already asked yourself this, I hope you will now. What is your role in cybersecurity? What does cybersecurity, technology, and society have to do with my life? What does it have to do with who I am today? How I've become who I am? What does it have to do with who I will be in the future? As you ask yourself that question, I'm going to suggest that you have several different roles in cybersecurity today and in the future. One role that you have right now and you will continue to have throughout your life course is that you are potential victims of cybersecurity incidents, potential victims of cyber attacks, potential victims of cyberbullying, potential victims of privacy intrusions, potential victims of cyber fraud, you name it. If you are in cyberspace, you are a potential victim of some type of cyber harm. Now, this isn't to say avoid cyberspace or you're going to be victimized. What it's to say is just the very nature of human behavior and the very nature of cyber technology. Individuals who venture into cyberspace, regardless of how they get there, are potential victims of some type of cyber offending. Now, in my introduction to criminal justice classes, I make the same comment, though, about all types of behavior and all types of crime. We are all potential victims of crime, all of us. The question that arises is whether or not there are things we can do to limit our vulnerability and to limit our risk of victimization. And you'll hear more about those types of things throughout these modules. Another role that you have in cybersecurity is that as current or future workers in the workplace, you will have a role even if you don't work in cybersecurity. Just by the very nature of working in a business that is connected to cyberspace, you have a role in cybersecurity. You have a role in helping to protect your business from cyber incidents, from cyber harm, from cyber attacks, from cyber frauds, from breaches, and so on. If you are working somewhere and you are connected to cyberspace, you are responsible for helping to protect that cyberspace from harm. Another role that we may have is we're current and future defenders of cyberspace. Now, in some ways, a worker is a defender of cyberspace, but in this context, what I'm thinking about is the folks who actually work in cybersecurity and have an active, ongoing duty that they are being paid for to protect cyberspace. Some of you may be interns. Some of you may be have full-time jobs already working in cybersecurity. Some of you may be doing it in the future. But in these cases, you are defending cyberspace. But I will also point out, in some ways, as a student, whether you're working in cyberspace or not, we also call upon you to help defend the institution cyberspace. When you are given an email, you have access to that institution's cyberspace. When you are given accounts at your institution, whatever learning management system we're using, you are given access to that cyberspace. We want you to be safe. We want you to practice safety in cyberspace so as to help the rest of us defend our critical infrastructure. You also may be involved as current or future researchers on cybersecurity. We have a very strong, at Old Dominion University, a very strong undergraduate research program in cybersecurity, where we've had NSF, National Science Foundation funding to help us get our undergraduate students involved in cybersecurity research. Some of our undergraduates do research in engineering, some do it in criminology, some do it in information technology, some do it in psychology, and they bring that interdisciplinary lens into that discipline to try and study cybercrime through that disciplinary lens with that interdisciplinary foundation. We also have projects where we bring students, undergraduate students from other universities or other community colleges here to ODU to study cybercrime with that, or cybersecurity, with that hope that again we can introduce them to how exciting it is to actually become a scientist. Our hope is that many of our undergraduates will then go on to become future cybersecurity researchers. Unfortunately, some students may have a role as current or future cybersecurity offenders, cybercrime offenders, whether it's pirating data, illegally downloading videos, whatever it may be. There's been a lot of studies on students students engaging in what would constitute cybercrime, and those studies show not an insignificant amount of offending by students. Now, I hope none of us are doing that, but there are students that engage in cyber crime. These could range all the way from what people see as not that serious, but actually you'll see is pretty serious, like pirating a video, to I've heard of students that get busted for hacking into their university's grade system and changing their grade. Which begs the question, if you're able to do that, why don't you just do the work to begin with? But again, the fortunate part here is for those types of incidents, the vast majority of students aren't doing those sorts of things. But it is certainly a current role, and what you want to do is make sure that you understand that line about what's ethical and what's appropriate, and you embrace it and you don't cross that line because it can damage someone's future. You also have a role as current and future educators. In your current role as a student, as someone who knows something about cybersecurity, who knows more than some other students know, we count on you to help spread that message about the need to practice safe cyber behavior. We count on you to tell your friends, to tell your family members, to tell your coworkers if you're working, to tell your roommates. This is how we practice safe cyber behavior. To share that information with them so that they also become more safe in cyberspace. Some of you may go on to become professors. I hope you do. It's a great job to teach about cybersecurity in a university environment or a higher education institution. There are going to be so many jobs in that area in this area in the future. I know some of you are just starting out and you're thinking, just get me through my freshman or sophomore year. Just put it in the back of your mind as a maybe, if you're even remotely interested. And then some of you will become future policymakers, legislators, business leaders, senators, governors, positions that you're able to help to determine and to write policy that guides us in our use of cyberspace. Now, whatever role you have today, whatever role you have in the future, we certainly hope that cybersecurity technology and society as a class helps you to fully understand your role, your responsibility, and how you can use this information to make not just your cyberspace better, but to make the whole world a better place through understanding the integration and the overlap between cybersecurity, technology, and society.